من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى أهله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. You guys, today for our Sunnah Fix session, we have another remarkable young person with us, and that is, of course, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, a dashing 24-year-old, mashallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Mustafa, a little bit about him. Mustafa started studying with me a few months ago through Core Academy. And his passion for knowledge is amazing, mashallah. I remember when we did our first Core Academy course, we were doing that first course in person. Physically, it was held at ISM. And both Mustafa and his wife drove down from Chicago, hour plus, just to attend the course every Saturday, y'all. That's amazing. And then they did that for weeks. And then the second course came around, and once again, they jumped on board. And at that time, that course was also supposed to be in person. Later on, of course, it became virtual because of COVID. But, you know, here you learn, if there's a will, there's a way. And when you have a passion, zeal, and dedication for knowledge, and mind you, this is someone who is a young professional, who has a family, who's doing a full-time job. Yet to still come through, man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. You know, you remind me of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever is on the path of knowledge, whoever is on the path of specifically Islamic knowledge, Allah will ease their path to paradise. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Allah bless you, keep you strong, man. Thank you for joining us, coming on board. Today, you and I get to finish Hadith 215, man. So let's do this.
Let's do it.
You guys, so far in this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that was brought to us by Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu. I'm going to give 3 seconds. Who remembers when Jabir passed away? 5, 4, just real quick. Who remembers when Jabir radiyallahu anhu passed away? That's an important thing to know. If you want to take your Islamic knowledge to the next level, a little bit of memorization. We can't be handicapped by Google and Wikipedia. Come on, y'all. Who remembers? Jabir radiyallahu anhu passed away. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to give it to him this time. You guys get ready, inshallah. Next time, it's all yours. 78 Hijri. Jabir radiallahu anhu brought us this hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the first part of the hadith we have already covered, he said that whoever is shown kindness to, then let them reciprocate that kindness. That as a Muslim, you don't always want to be a taker. You don't want to be a freeloader. You don't want to be always on the receiving end of the favor. You know, you got to pull your weight. Reciprocate, paying kind. And if you're unable to do that because of your circumstances, then at the very least, open-heartedly, genuinely appreciate the person for what they did for you. Because silence at that point, in that moment, would be ingratitude. That's not the time to mince your words and be conservative with your compliments. No. At this point, you genuinely recognize what that person did for you. So be forthcoming, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. And now, in this last part of the hadith, man, this is so brilliant. The Prophet ﷺ goes on to say that if a person, let me actually give you the exact wording, whoever fronts what he doesn't have is like the one, so once again, whoever boasts and pretends to have something he actually doesn't have is like the one wearing deceptive clothing to cheat people. Now, to help you really appreciate this, there's a little bit of a background story, Brother Mustafa, and that is that one of our great scholars, Nu'aym ibn Hamad, he says what used to happen back in the days, in the villages, that you would have someone that everybody kind of knew. You know, that gentle uncle that you see at every wedding? Yeah, he's like that kind of a person. Everybody knows him. He's generally trusted, a good person. And because he knew everyone and everyone knew him, what would happen, that in the village court, whenever there would be a case, he would often be summoned as a witness because of his reputation. So once what happened, a family showed up on his doorsteps and they gave him a bundle of money and they said, our son's case is tomorrow. We need you to kind of, you know, say whatever you need to say to make sure our son comes out clean. And this dude accepted the money and the deal. Next day in the court, before he went out to stand in the court stand, what does he do? He wears the nicest clothing that he can find, the fanciest thobe that he's got in his wardrobe, and he comes decked out in front of the judge. And apparently, according to the account, the judge is so blown away just by the attire and his presence and composure that he didn't get asked too many questions, and his account got sold, and the son came out clean. From that point on, this phrase kind of stuck that when you wear deceptive clothing to fool people, in Arabic we say la bisu thawbayzu. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ is referencing, that someone who fronts what they don't have is like this individual who's wearing fancy clothing just to deceive people. Now, you guys, I want you to appreciate something beautiful here. Notice in the first part of the hadith, we had one extreme where someone actually was done favor to and they were still silent about it. They did not, they weren't very forthcoming. They weren't very expressive. Either they weren't reciprocating nor appreciating. That was one extreme. Now here we have another contrast. This is someone who has not been done a favor to, who has not been given a blessing, yet they still pretend. They're still loud and they're still vocal about how much they have or how they do have that favor, even though they don't, just to maintain appearances. So, Mustafa, this is someone who's maxing out his credit card just to buy an Armani suit that they simply, this is not in their pay grade. Yeah. You know, this is someone, you know, borrowing insane amount of money to throw this crazy wedding that they can't afford. Man, Will Smith said it best, and y'all please share your experience as well. Will Smith said it best. He's like, people buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress the people they don't like. Welcome to America, man. This is the society nowadays. It's like, yo, it's a mental slavery, man. Always trying to impress people. No wonder celebrities are so miserable, going through rehabs and breakdowns and drugs. No wonder weed is essential business. I don't know if you know, but cannabis and everything else, the stocks are going through the roof. It's insane. Because, you know, when you're a celebrity and you're in the public eye, you live to be relevant. I mean, we all saw those I Take Responsibility videos. It's so, no wonder it's so hard to be happy. And these people, though they look like they're winning on the outside, they're actually weeping on the inside. Because your life is all about just trying to put up a front, appeal to your base, make people happy. Oh my God, what a mental slavery. May Allah protect us all. Man, you know, in our day and age, because we live in the age of Sephora and lipo and facade and filters, it's, you know, everybody trying to keep up with the Kardashians. Yeah, I don't know if you know, like people in an effort just to, again, keep up with the trends and like being relevant and gotta impress everybody and live for people's approval. I don't know if you know, if you're familiar with the hypebeast culture, yo, people set up bots online for the next supreme drop. Mm-hmm. That's how crazy it gets. Like one of the hypebeast brands is called Off-White. So if you've ever seen one, there's a zip tie, a red zip tie on it. So I was like, when I was first introduced to this, I asked my friend, I was like, dude, like, how do you walk around with a zip tie on your sticking out of your foot? He's like, yo, you don't know. He's like, you're not supposed to wear these shoes. You buy these shoes for hundreds of dollars, not to wear them, but to showcase them. So next time your buddy shows up, you can blow him away by your insane collection. There's like, can you imagine? Like, there's no utility. You're just buying it purely to score like kudos, man. Isn't that
it's flex culture at its finest, you know. And subhanAllah, when you talk about this hadith, I think about the effects of social media on the minds of us as people. SubhanAllah, we as people want to impress everybody, right, and wear that deceptive clothing, just to, you know, showcase what we don't have, that kind of stuff, just because we want the approval of others. And it's sad, really, but subhanAllah, if we follow this hadith, we'd know that we don't need to do this, and it would help our mental effects, and we wouldn't have to be so depressed when, for example, we see something or somebody else showing off something that might not necessarily be true.
Yeah, and you know, the whole effort and struggle is, I may not have it, which is not the problem. The problem is I need people to think I have it. And that struggle and that burden can kill you, man. You know, one of the jobs of the Prophet ﷺ in the Quran is وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالِ, that a prophet comes to emancipates you from social slavery and societal expectations and trends that can crush you. Just to maintain appearances and keeping up with the Joneses, what do people not do? I've shared this the other day, like people start their weddings on the verge of bankruptcy because We gotta impress our uncle who threw an insane wedding at a 5-star swanky hotel. How are we gonna fall behind? We gotta show our faces in public. I mean, I don't. You know this. You know, in the corporate world, is people move up the food chain and you become VPs and whatever. Now, one of the symbols of status is maintaining ownership, membership at a cigar club, at a country club, and the membership fees are insane, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But you got to, because that's where all these sharks hang, and you gotta maintain appearances. You gotta pay the money. This is where one of our great scholars, Abu Hazim, he said something beautiful. He said, all you have to please is one face. He says, all you have to please is one face. He says, لَمُصَانَعَةُ وَجْهٍ وَاحٍ أَيْسَرُ مِنَ الْوُجُوهِ كُلِّهَا. He says, all you have to do is impress one face instead of trying to impress everybody. Just impress God. That's all you have to worry about. One sajda in front of Allah emancipates you from sajda to every other trend and every other fad, man. SubhanAllah. That's why when young people ask me, they're like, oh, Brother Ameer, like, I want to get a tattoo, and because, you know, all my friends have it. And I always say, man, in Islam, we're not about tattoos. We don't do tattoos because you're supposed to be happy with the way God created you. Like, Allah gave you this amazing body, and you want to ink it? You don't put bumper stickers on a Ferrari, do you? Just be content with the way Allah has made you. And because of this hyper insecurity that we often have, because we're always comparing ourselves to others, plastic surgery business is booming through the roof. You go to a dentist now, they sell you a smile. There's nothing wrong with your teeth, but they'll sell you a smile. And I feel awkward saying this live, forgive me, people, but just to, again, peel the layers here, people do private part shaping because of these deep-seated insecurities of how they look. People are not happy, not content with the way they're made. And you open this door of physical modification, permanent physical modification, which we as Muslims don't do, because Allah says, فَلَا أُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ. And just, I heard a story where someone had 20 surgeries on their nose, a girl, just so she can look like Angelina Jolie, dude. It's like unbelievable, man. So the Prophet ﷺ is like, stop trying to pretend. Just be yourself. Embrace who you are. You don't have to live up to society's standard of beauty, society's standard of wealthy. I don't know if you all feel that pressure, you know, living up to that European standard of beauty, man. And, you know, I tell people, like, even if you got everything in this world that you're looking for, everything you need to impress people, let's just suppose you got it all. You made it to the Forbes list of billionaires, and you made it to Beverly Hills and Scottsdale. Fine. You got it all. But then what? Does that matter in the hereafter? Because, like, to have it all here in this world is like being a billionaire in GTA, dude. Like, what does it matter? You're gonna go 8 feet deep into the ground, and then, you know, there's no return of it whatsoever. Like, this world is the appetizer. You go all out here, the real meal's still coming. You gotta make sure you leave some capacity for that. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for perspective, man, to be able to see through all these layers, man.
I mean, inshallah.
Any comments or anything that you wanted to share?
I saw a comment earlier.
Yes, go ahead.
Says usually people don't think about impressing others around them by their manners, actions, and non-materialistic things, which is very easy to do, but spending money that they don't have seems easy to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. It's crazy. I'll share one last point that some of our scholars made in this hadith. They said, and this is profound. They say, you know, when it comes to keeping up false pretenses, that's not just a materialistic thing. In fact, it can be even more dangerous when people put up spiritual pretenses. You know what that means? This means that someone pretends to or fronts religiosity at a level that they're actually not. And that is more dangerous, can be more dangerous than materialistic fronts. So again, what I'm about to share with you right now, this is not us judging others. You know, when people, next time you see a guy wearing a thobe at Pick and Save, you shouldn't be like, oh, see, look at him fronting, trying to be all religious and whatever. No, no, no. This is for us to monitor ourselves, that we can become spiritually vigilant. Am I being more religious in front of others than I actually am? Do I say more mashallah and alhamdulillah and tabarakallah and Allahu Akbar? It's always rolling out of my tongue when I'm around my religious friends than I actually am. Do I find myself praying nafil prayer in the masjid when I'm with my friends, but at home it's actually not a thing? Those are the hard questions we have to ask ourselves. Am I always telling people about all the causes I'm involved in and the title of my MSA board position? Am I always flexing and flaunting about the noble things I'm involved in? That's, I think, something that we have to be careful of. We end up not coming across in a way where our spiritual state is actually not there. I think that's something really, really important to monitor. So bottom line is, man, the Prophet is like, be authentic. Embrace who you are. Be genuine. And that's how you develop a winning personality. That's the base of your akhlaq. Any thoughts and comments? Oh.
Yeah, everything what you said is subhanAllah. It just the fact that such a hadith, or the Prophet could, say something like this so far, 1400 years ago, that is relevant so much today. Because the way I think about it, is very important because, you think about it, the rise of the internet has caused this effect to be more profound, right? So now you see this everywhere. You see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, you see it even in person. But it's such a amplified problem, right? And subhanAllah, this is the answer. And somebody also mentioned it earlier. It's like you see also suicide rates is increasing, especially in Western countries, right, where atheism is more prevalent, where people don't really they don't believe in pleasing like a God, right? Where they just want to please each other, keeping up with the Joneses, like you said. It's a snowballing effect. You're gonna keep trying to work hard. Eventually, you're trying to please somebody that's not, that doesn't care.
Man, somebody said a profound comment. Don't we think we should work on decolonizing our minds first? Wow, that's deep. And Nadia was saying what you were echoing earlier. The highest suicide rates are amongst the richest. In fact, I was reading a study a while ago that the income levels above $250,000, that's where the suicide rates get the highest. That tells you, man, because the struggle is real at that level. Just maintaining a face and a front and an image. So I will end at least my comments on the final hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which I have so much love, and there's so much benefit, and I hope inshallah it affects you the way it affects me. This hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, some say it's a statement of Aisha radiallahu anha, which is probably more accurate, but she probably got it from the Prophet ﷺ. She says that when a person, in the process of pleasing people, ends up displeasing Allah, then not only Allah is not happy, eventually people won't be happy either. Because people see through you. You're desperate for attention. You're trying too hard. You're a force. And automatically you're going to lose dignity in their eyes. Eventually it's going to happen, if not in the short term, in the long term. And then she says, and a person who in the process of pleasing Allah ends up displeasing people, then not only will Allah be happy, but so eventually will people too. And subhanAllah, what a greater example of this than Muhammad Ali himself. That eventually, in the short term, he got stripped of his boxing license. Got a lot of flack for not going to the Vietnam War. And he got a lot of negative attention. But because he stuck to his principles, stuck to his values, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to do, he went down in the history books as one of the greatest of all times, a legend. So I think we got to keep our eye on the prize. That is, you got one face to please, not multiple, not everyone. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that focus, for that tawheed. They say tawheedul matlab, that singularity of pursuit. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to truly become people who embrace, where we're comfortable in our own skin. We're comfortable with the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. And we find contentment in that. And we don't let people determine our self-image and our self-esteem. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Any other thoughts? I saw a big comment kept coming up earlier.
Yeah.
Contentment of the self can only be achieved when one's detached themselves from anything of this life and knows the purpose of this life is only to please the Creator and not pleasing the creation. SubhanAllah, yes. Well stated, mashallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us, keep us strong. Today, alhamdulillah, we have finished the study of Hadith 215, and tomorrow, inshallah, we'll continue moving forward in our book, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. You guys, thank you once again for tuning in. Mustafa, any final comments, Akhi?
I mean, just, pretty much what everyone's saying is like hitting it on the spot, and that hadith, the last hadith that you said is just, subhanAllah, it's profound because, I feel like the more we just, stick to our roots, I mean, we wouldn't have to worry about pleasing others. We give a better image of ourselves as Muslims, and people see us as who we are, and they see the beauty of Islam.
Yeah. And yeah, and the struggle is real, man. Just imagine a girl who's being told by her recruiter, take off your hijab, your job placement rates are going to be better, you have a much
Hmm.
better chance of getting accepted. And she's like, no, I'm not going to please my boss. I'm not going to
Yep.
please my, my colleagues just so I can get ahead. God to worry about. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that strength, that spiritual fortitude, man, to stick to the truth through and through, inshallah. You guys, thank you very much. Barakallahu feek. Good night. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.